React Native Interview Questions and Answers, Your Hiring Roadmap by Procoders. React Native is one of the most popular frameworks. You've probably already heard a lot about React Native. This is all because it has become very popular and confidently captured the world under its wing. Facebook created this open-source framework in 2015. List of the interview questions for React Native developers. Beginners level questions. What is React Native Modal? It is a basic component that opens the content above the closing view. The Modal window by default contains its own view, but at the same time it has such properties as visible animationType, transparent and onRequestClose. Who needs React Native? Since React Native broke into the world of web and mobile development with the support of a reputable Facebook, the market is created just a snowball from new libraries and frameworks. Without false modesty, we can say that it is almost for everything, from startups to huge enterprises, for example Discord and Skype. What is the difference between React and React Native? When React is a JavaScript library, React Native is a framework using the same principles and similar syntax. It is open source. We use React for creating web applications and UI, while React Native is used for cross-platform mobile applications. What are the main advantages of the framework? Skills development. When you work with mobile apps, your web skills are running up. You have a great opportunity to create cross-platform mobile applications themselves. React Native has components for its native application in JavaScript. Easy to integrate with other significant frameworks. Speedy and swiftness for mobile applications with responsiveness. Greater than ability to use native modules. Ability to use lots of native capabilities specific to each platform. Do we use IDE for React Native, and do you know about core components? We use IDE for React Native such as WebStorm, Visual Studio Code, Atom and so on. What is props and what is the default props? Properties or props are parameters that we use to configure the component during creation or visualization. Props are immutable and cannot be changed due to the influence of the parent component. Default props allow you to set the default props value for your component. The component will use the default props value if you don't do that. What is stats? This is a data type that tracks information. State must be reflected in the constructor. State is changeable and we can change it inside the component. What are the differences between props and stats? Props are used to configure components. When they are created, you can set different parameters for them. The state helps the React to change the output over time in response to events that occur. In contrast to the props, the states recall the details, but it is only the external similarity. State is placed in a single component while properties are read-only for their component. What is Flexbox? Flexbox, short for the Flexible Box module, is both a one-dimensional layout and a method whose function is to distribute space between elements within the interface and create practical alignment capabilities. It works with the layout in one dimension at a time, and it can occur as a column or row. Mid-level questions. What are the component lifecycle methods to React Native? Lifecycle methods in React Native consist of 4 phases like assembly, where component is instantiated, update, for statistics and property values, unmount, when the component isn't needed, and the finish part, error finding, while rendering the component. What do you know about threads? As a specialist with experience in interviews, you should talk about 3 threads. It's worth starting with the main UI thread, which can change how the user interface is accessed. The JavaScript thread, where the JS code is running, handles the business logic, API calls and event handling using touch. The shadow background thread is used to calculate the layout. How can you change the size of the element? Changing the screen size is more than an important feature. And of course, it is available in any mobile application. A different screen size or choose a screen size is an essential aspect of development. In our case, we can use the dimensions component to get the height and width of the device. Why do we need bridge? As you know, in React Native, response messages are sent across the bridge. This is a kind of transport interchange for one object to another. Also, bridge connects threads such as JS and Shadow, creates asynchronous bidirectional links between the thread and the module. Why do we need Redux? This is a kind of container library that has a predictable state for the JavaScript application and is shared storage. It has the advantage of helping you write consistent applications in different environments and then making it easy to test. How about Redux Action? It should be remembered that a store is a tool for transferring information from an application to a store based on the operation of actions is a unique source. In turn, the action is a simple JavaScript object that has the type attribute which indicates the type of action to be performed. Actions are not just a source but the only way of transfer. Why do we use class and functional components? An experienced developer is not intimidated by the question of components. They differ in function. The class component will use the ES6 class keyword to create the component and extend the React component class. Functional components are used for lifecycle and state methods. As you can imagine, functional component is lightweight and productive and does not take up much space. What is the difference between scroll view and flat list? We paid attention to these elements before. However, let us remember that scroll view is useful to render small numbers of items instead of flat list, which is for large items. It will load items immediately after component loading, so all data will mount into RAM. Flat list is lazier in this context because it will render items that are visible on the screen. Nevertheless, it creates a great performance, which is a real plus. High-level questions. How can you effectively detect memory leaks on the app? Problems with the memory you can detect with the instruments called Xcode and Android Studio, which provide tools to track the memory used by an app. They can be used for testing apps on devices and simulators. How about setting the orientation of the app? There are landscape and portrait modes that almost all mobile devices have. Portrait mode is set by default. Landscape mode is available to us when you rotate the device. If you are uncomfortable with this, you can easily turn off this mode with the code in the Android manifest.xml file, general to deployment info and AMP. Select the portrait mode only, again rebuild the project. Why do we need safe area view? Its benefit is that it displays nested content and applies padding to reflect the part of the view that is not covered by the tab and navigation bar. It also creates the necessary space and saves the replacement content from the safe area. It is worth noting that the iOS_v11 version is suitable for it. Otherwise, this function will not work. What about the environment variable and its usage? Why? Oh, you can save API keys, environment variables, and even sensitive information in the file.env file. To do this correctly, install the library react-native.env and import the necessary files from the .env file. We can save environment variables, API keys, or any sensitive information inside the .env file. To use React Native, it is necessary to install the library react-native.env. Now we can import environment variables from the .env file. How to prepare for an interview if you are a React Native developer. You just have to present yourself at the technical part of the interview for React Native programmer, showing all your strong hard and soft skills, of course based on our collected top questions that will surely catch up with you at the interview regardless of your skill level. How to prepare for an interview if you are an employer. The employer should also carefully prepare for a technical interview with the candidate. At the first stage of searching for a potential employee, you should pay attention to their portfolio and study the development trends in it. If you see this trait, such a specialist should be considered as a candidate for the position. Also prepare some React Native interview questions and your desirable answers to check your wishes from the candidates. Conclusion. It is necessary to prepare for the React Native interview in advance because React Native technical interview questions can scare anyone. After all, the company you want to job for is at stake. Preparing for interview questions for React Native developers is quite a painstaking process, so the top React Native interview questions we have prepared can simplify this path for you for a while. Subscribe our channel and read more about React Native interview questions and answers, your hiring roadmap in 2021 at Procoders blog.